All right, today, folks, we're going to hit some the most requested things from the community that we've been talking to. It's how do I create skills? How do I put together a Claude.md file? And generally, how do I get things going? All right, so let's get going here. So first of all, I had a talk with a San Francisco kind of innovation team the other day, and they said that there is a open data API and playground you can use. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and kind of just generally iterate back and forth with Claude saying, hey, I was told the city has an open AI data API and a playground. What do you think I should do? Kind of go back and forth. I'm like, okay, I don't want to put it in my personal setup, but what are some ways we could kind of make this useful to me? So you kind of get to the end of it. It's like, okay, I want you to put together a scaffold and an architecture for how I can build this into my setup, okay? So I'll go to Visual Studio Code, where I like to kind of play out of and build. I'm gonna open a file. Actually work out of, basically have a projects folder, so I can kind of segment these, and then I can kind of manage across these different folders and organize the code and what's going on there. So I'm going to create a new file here. I'm going to say San Francisco City View. That sounds like an interesting folder. And in that, I'm going to drop both my scaffolding from that I created. So, well, let's open it first. So I'm going to open it first. I basically drop my very generic Claude.md.markdown folder, or a file that you guys can share, that I'll share with you, as well as a city read scaffolding. Okay, so I actually used to like working out of the extension in Visual Studio. Now I like just doing the terminal. I got some interesting feedback from folks at Anthropic. It's like, hey, this is the better way to do it. So I'm just following best practices, I guess, but folks have different ways. So I like working in Visual Studio, but the terminal, so I can see the files being built. Okay, so really, this is pretty easy, all right? So we've already got the information from Claude Code. It's kind of already built out the scaffolding for what I need or how I should think about it. But, let's get it kind of started. So take a look at city read scaffolding prompt and build out the architecture for this project. At Claude, any guidance, feel free to update that file as used. And I'm put it in plan mode. I'm going to put it into high effort. And really, that's kind of it right now. And so, I don't know if it's really rocket science. I think it's more of having ideas, iterating with Claude as your collaborator, putting together something that's high quality that you can get started on, and then let it just kind of cook. I'll kind of show you this here. It's kind of like what this actually looks like and what it should kind of, it'll have generally like what it does. So like what's the problem statement. The scaffolding I think is super, super important for any type of project, especially for the folks that are not technical. So, if you don't have something like this, it could really get confusing and convoluted quickly. The key specs, I basically asked it to create some like a data schema based on the plan. So it's like, hey, I've got the big picture. How are we going to kind of add the data to make this make sense? And then just kind of have different files for, how you're actually ingest this data and make this happen. So that's like generally what's going on here. Let me show you this while it's kind of still building here. I thought this was really cool. So this is the San Francisco Open Bay portal, where all sorts of data for traffic and transit is available. It's free. I didn't initially have any idea what I would do with this data, but kind of walking around today and kind of chatting back and forth with Claude, I was like, okay, here's a couple interesting ideas. There's also this open data portal, which again, not exactly sure what I was going to do with this, but this is kind of the fun part of vibe coding. Sometimes, like, I don't know, you don't exactly have a game plan, but look at all this type of data in the categories and what you could potentially do. So people that know more than me are probably have, you know, some actually really interesting ideas of what they can do and where, but I don't know. I was like, maybe I'll just make a how are neighborhoods doing better or worse based on some signals. Finally, just I can share this with you all. I don't know if I'll just, you know, post this on the comments or whatever. This is my file from February. So I am constantly in my own machine, kind of iterating on it, updating it, but mostly I'm having Claude update itself. So, hey, the project has gone this direction or this folder has changed. I have a baseline Claude Code file across all of my projects of how I like to work. But then for each project, you want to have specifics. So you can update it, but honestly, if you have a good starting base and just say, hey, update yourself, like this is, you know, want some left and rights, you actually want a smaller file. So it's not just referencing a huge stack of context every time. And what this kind of looks like is, you know, just project philosophy, okay, pretty generic. Execution doctrine, skills versus MCP. This 10 commandments, I think I got this somewhere in Reddit, but it's kind of interesting. Planning protocol, and then like implementation and parallel work, just like how I want you to think about that. So anyways, and anti-patterns. So some things, like if you're not that technical, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And so this is a good place to get started. So happy to share this. So I'm gonna go back in here and see where we're at. So basically it has generated a game plan here, which is pretty massive. Normally I might iterate this a little bit more than just kind of banging out this whole thing, but basically you're gonna hit this auto mode and it will just take off. I think the difference between early days of me trying to vibe code these projects out and now is I will maybe have tighter chunks of work and inspect the game plan a lot more. I think when folks kind of get early started, it's just like auto accept, yes, accept all. And believe me, I'm still guilty of that in a lot of ways, but I think the difference between a great project and a fantastic project that you're not constantly having to rework or stumble over is reading the plan. And honestly, I think one of the things that I've kind of spent the most time doing now is I built too wide in my early projects. And so you kind of like pare it way down to the stuff that actually works and provides value. And then you like slowly iterate out from there. So I imagine that pattern will look the same way for folks that are just kind of getting started. You know, it's easy to get really excited and just build super wide for each project and let things kind of expand out. But really what you're going to see is most of those things, like if you have 50 agents, you're probably not going to be using all those agents, and you'll pare that down to a core functionality and you'll slowly iterate out. So anyways, I'm going to pause for a second. All right, so we're gonna finish up this build here. It took about 17 minutes, so pretty large build to be honest with you, but we got different types of scoring. I reworked it once. The first time I uploaded it was completely broken. Copy and pasted the broken stuff, put it back in there, told it to fix it, poked around a little bit, kind of told it to work a little harder, and we got something. So let me show you what we got here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so we got the city intelligence dashboard. You know, there's probably a lot I can do here still, but basically it's looking at all the different neighborhoods, scoring them. So apparently Sunset, Parkside, Golden Gate Park is looking pretty good, improving. So the different types, city crime trends, permit activity, business health, service quality, transit access, parks investment. Those are the different kind of aspects I wanted to look at this in. You can also drill into different neighborhoods. So I live, where do I live? Potrero Hill. Well, let's just do the mission. What's going on in the mission? Okay, Mission is stable. I looking at these, there's none that are like declining, so I might have to baseline this a little bit. Oh, no, Tenderloin is declining. Potrero Hill, declining. I think that's actually wrong, but maybe I'll save that for another day. Anyways, there's a lot of data here, and I can cut and paste this however I want. Let me show you one more thing, since folks had asked about skills. Basically, I went back to Claude chat, basically like, hey, what's some fun skills I can do? And they actually came up with some pretty good ones. It was neighborhood vibe summarizer, budget shame report generator. It feels a little bit, mean. Relocation matchmaker, which, seems interesting for some folks probably. Weekly San Francisco Weird News Digest. Okay, that seems pretty cool. So, I don't think there's really a massive amount of skill to creating skills here. It's the same approach. I'm going to ask and kind of ideate, collaborate, say, hey, give me the thing. And then I'm going to take that Claude Code prompt in here, throw that back into the project and see what happens. All right, well, we'll see where this project takes me, but that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Hope that's helpful.